I cut off my mother because she allowed the guy who roped me to visit my daughter. 10 years later she wants to fix our relationship and get to know her grandkids. 13 years ago I was roped by my boyfriend's best friend Jay when I was 16. My mother never liked my boyfriend ever since we started dating back when we were 13, and certainly hated him when we got married. She always wanted me to be with Jay because Jay came from a good family, meaning Christian and white. So when Jay roped me, she didn't believe me despite all the evidence that he did. So while I was waiting for trial I moved in with my boyfriend and his parents. During this time I found out I was pregnant. I knew it wasn't my boyfriend's because we were never intimate and I still had my V card. Jay ended up taking a plea deal and got no jail time in exchange for him never having any right to see my daughter. When my daughter was born my mother asked me to move back home and said sorry for everything. A year after my daughter was born I went to college a few hours away and my mom retired early to watch her. During the week I stayed on campus so I didn't have to drive back and forth. On the weekends I came home and I also called every night to make sure my daughter was okay. My second year of college, me and my boyfriend eloped and my mom did not like that one bit even though we've been together for 6 years at that point and he takes care of my daughter like she's his and still does to this day. So one day we had a big snowstorm and my Thursday and Friday classes were cancelled. So I went home early without telling my mom and in the kitchen when I walked in, Jay's mom, my mom and Jay. Jay was also holding my daughter when I walked in. They were surprised to say the least and I started flipping out naturally and grabbed my daughter and packed a bag with her stuff. My mother and Jay's mother were pleading with me to not leave while I was packing. When I went to leave my mom was crying, now begging me to forgive her. I said I would never forgive her and went to walk out. On my way out Jay grabbed my arm and said I should be nicer to my mother. My mother called me hundreds of times but I never answered her. I left to get an apartment with my husband and daughter. I got a babysitter for when I was in class. A week after this incident my mother put over $100K in my bank account to buy me over. My younger sister just got married and my mother was at the wedding and I had to be civil to her. She asked about my daughter and son and current pregnancy. She told me how she wanted to fix things with me and see her grandkids before she eventually dies and how she's always believed me about the rope. She just didn't want to be fired, as Jay's mom was her boss. I asked her if she still hangs out with Jay's mother. She said sometimes but mostly at church. I left the conversation at that. She's my mother. I love her. I miss her. She raised me and my sister all by herself but I don't know if I will ever be able to completely forgive her. I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet.